Dr. Nelson, thank you. He's an amazing guy, and I really love working with him. How's everyone doing? I am not very good at standing around and being still. ADHD, OCD, depression, dyslexia, couldn't read, kicked out of school in a gang, father in jail. I grew up in Los Angeles. Both my grandfathers committed suicide. My sister had diabetes since age 4. Alcohol abuse, and my father, my older brother. So I lived with lots of those things. I was bullied in school. But you know what I look back at all of it? Who created it? God. For my strengthening and building a strong ship. It's all how we look at things, but how do we look at things? With our eyes, our ears, our heart, our minds. So, as Ben mentioned, the mindset and the thoughts you think, and about 20 plus years ago, I began to read a book called The Secret. But I read every single book from The Secret in order to build more understanding of my life. Now, I was blessed because I had very loving and amazing parents who died at almost 94, even though they had immense troubles in life. Those troubles broke them up in some ways, were hard for the family, hard for me. But I don't look at anything in the past as anything but strengthening. Interesting enough, one thing I tell people in my practice is, who are you related to? Because I deal with people who want to use donor eggs and donor sperm, or don't want to because they're not related, but in fact, we're all related. Go back 20 generations. Count the number of people you're related to. Millions. That's the amazing part, is that we are all related. Isn't that crazy? Right? Do you ever fight with someone you're related to? Do you ever hate them? They hate you, disagree, right? Isn't that just natural and normal in life? Right? But how do we learn to let go and give something higher in our lives at the mastery of the master's work? Who is the master of the work? What do human beings label that master? God. Now, I'm not a preacher, although I am a preacher actually, because I ordained and I can perform marriages. But ultimately, who's in charge of your life? Answer is, I am. We are, right? Together. But the community, and the one thing I've learned about the keto and carnivore communities, they're pretty amazing. We're learning so much diversity, not just nutrition, but mindset and our past lives and how we're all connected in so many ways. And as a doctor, I didn't tell you how I became a doctor. Did I tell you how I became a doctor? Well, after getting kicked out of school in a gang and getting arrested for breaking and entering, and then vandalism, and eventually I was arrested again at about 14 on the streets. Now, my younger brother and I just hung out the streets because my parents were never around, and in some way I blamed them. I tried to sue them, but they died. Wouldn't have got anything out of them other than love. I did get a lot of that. The police officer, Rampart LAPD, said, you have a choice. Go to jail or change. It was kind of about that right time anyway, when it was time to change. And in high school, I couldn't get into a Spanish class, and I had to take an art class. I'm not an artist. So, Mrs. Wong, in the ceramics class, taught me how to center myself. And I found myself really good at pottery. And I started doing art shows. And then she taught me jewelry. Now, I was already a grease mechanic. I love building cars, rebuilding cars, right? Now, I didn't have any money, except I was good at one thing: going to work. At 12 or 13, I worked at a bait shop, boat launching ramp. I'd get up at 4 in the morning and go do it. My grandmother thought I was crazy. Now, I worked at Dodger Stadium, I worked at a department store, I broke a leg when I was 19. I went 4 years to Los Angeles City College because I didn't have any classes or anything that I could get into a higher grade. But I broke my leg and met a hippie doctor, and that hippie doctor I was really impressed with. And I went to the counselor's office to see what it took to become a doctor, and I was like, no way. No way. But I just happened to be really good at one thing, and Mrs. Hafner in the 4th grade embarrassed me. She kissed me in front of the class and hugged me. She'd be arrested today. But now I'm nearly 70, and I was good at one thing: math. I saw everything in numbers, and I was really good with my hands, and I managed to go through 4 years of junior college and go to USC in biology and nutritional biochemistry. I didn't know I'd be here today. And I didn't get into medical school at first. What did I do? I just went right back into it. And here I am, a doctor. Now, my sister Mary Ann's illness of diabetes was one of the reasons I decided to go into medicine also. And what do they teach us in standard medicine? How to diagnose diseases based on your symptoms and which dissections, doctors, or drugs to treat you with. Now, what don't we or didn't we and still maybe don't know the cause of disease? Is that probably a big problem for all of us, right? Do you guys know what the cause of disease is? Nutrition. Lifestyle. Environment, drugs, right? Alcohol, right? They call it idiopathic. Do you guys know what idiopathic means? We don't know. We're idiots. Idiopathic. Okay, now, I don't blame the modern Western medical system because this is very, 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 very ancient. As Marie Emmerich showed earlier, our ancient way, and I did a TEDx talk a few years ago, and it was called The Human Ferrari. My story basically is we came out of the trees to eat the grass. Eaters. We're ancient hunters and killers. Did we cook our food 50, 100,000 years ago? We didn't. We killed it and ate it. We ate raw, fatty meat. Now they say we gathered. How many seeds and nuts and fresh fruits and vegetables can you gather in most environments all the time? You cannot. Now, I started in the world, and I mentioned this earlier if you were here, I talked about my patients in my fertility practice. Now, I own the 5th largest IVF center in America, volume-wise. But I am the Walmart of IVF. I'm the most affordable, and I finance everyone. And about 20 years ago, I began to integrate meditation, prayer, visualization, acupuncture, massage, because if you're infertile or you're having troubles and it's stressful, do you generally want to seek out help, or are you just kind of like, you're afraid to ask? And 85% of people that are infertile never seek health care help. Did you know that? It's very common that it's all available. Everyone knows about IVF, but most people never go there. And many people never want to touch in vitro fertilization, test tube baby stuff. When I integrated acupuncture, massage, meditation, prayer, many of my patients were suddenly getting pregnant on this thing called paleo diet. What's paleo diet? Ancient hunter-gatherers. Now, do you know what people ate 100,000 years ago? I have no idea what we ate. I have no idea. Were you there? I wasn't there. We don't know, right? But ultimately, I began to talk about and learn about paleo, and then I found keto and Maria Emmerich years ago, and then one day I found this thing called carnivore. It's crazy, right? Eat only meat, right? No fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, fiber, none of that stuff, right? And I was like, well, wait a minute, that can't work. But I had arthritis, psoriasis, bowel bleeding, hemorrhoids, kidney stones, depression, anxiety. Did I miss anything, you think? I got most of it, right? And paleo made me feel better. Keto made me feel better. Carnivore? Gone. Everything. Never felt better in my life. And what's my job as a doctor? Help people heal, feel better without me as a doctor. Whoa, what an idea, right? So like, no more drugs, dissections. So interesting enough, I had terrible upper respiratory problems. I had a bag of drugs I was on all the time. 2 years it took me before I noticed that I hadn't been on one of those drugs in such a long time. And what's my job as a doctor? Make people feel better. And as a fertility doctor, it's help them have babies. Now, I kind of talk about two things that in general we're told not to talk about. Did I hear it? God. I'm sorry, you can't talk about God, Dr. Kiltz, because you're here to do the job of a doctor, right? Which is drugs, dissections, and other doctor specialists, okay? Now, again, healthcare costs have gone up or down? Up. The number of people sick have gone up or down? Now, do you guys believe in data and science and prospective randomized studies?
Yep.
Well, where's the proof they've done anything?
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't, because they don't. They make us sicker. Every time there's a scientific proven study of what you should do,
It doesn't work.
it doesn't work and it costs more money. And do you think the scientific world cares about you or money? Money. Now, I don't know how many years ago the masters figured out if I feed the masses bread and beer, I can control them. And they will do anything and line up for more of it. Enslavement, soldiers, peasants, and prisoners. This is where we mostly come from, because otherwise you're the kings and the queens of the world and you're not working. You're controlling. Now, I have nothing bad to say about money, because money is the fuel that drives all of our missions in life, but the love of money is the sin. We are really here for service, and that's what I'm here for in life. But, oh wait. Well, I guess you could sort of see it. Julia with a G.
Oh, it's
is-
fading.
Oh, it's fading. Well, you got the gist of it, right? Are we born to be doctors and speakers and writers? And are we born in order to have a career? What is the most important thing in your life, young lady?
Presence. The ability to be.
Be. But what's the most important part of your life? Could you mention it?
I think for me personally, it would be my family.
Your family. Would everyone say the most important thing is family? Which means children. We're neglecting our reproductive purpose in life because we want to be successful. What other animal says, you better wait a few years before you reproduce to make sure you got enough what? No other animal does this. What other animal cooks their food? None. What other animal asks a influencer or a scientist or a specialist, what are the macros they should be eating? None. I'm not saying you shouldn't ask, but truly, do you think with all the knowledge we have, we'd have lower cost health care, we'd be healthier, but in fact we're sicker? Yeah. Have we been maybe misguided and forgetting the foundation of our health and wellness? And if you've got to go to war, you want Scientific America? Or do you want the Bible to bring? What does the Bible have in it that scientific journals do not? Truth. Faith, hope, is something more general.
The 10 Commandments.
It depends which Bible you're reading. Stories. Stories are critical. Everyone here has a story, but the story isn't the cause of your problems. It's the reason for all of our strength. So I look back at the suicides in my family, the sickness, the alcohol, the drugs, the fall apart, the abuse, and my problems with nothing but respect and joy and resilience. Because without them, these are the stories we're all telling, right? Now, why is carnivore so important in this? Has anyone here heard of a goitrogen? A goiter?
Yes.
What's a goiter? Just damage your thyroid gland. What's a goitrogenic food? It's a plant. Which plants are not goitrogens? None. Is a goitrogen a substance that damages your thyroid gland that maybe damages every single cell of your body? Yes. Tumorgens. Cystic, solid, cancerous or not, plants are the ultimate predators. Are plants live, sentient beings? You better believe they are. Do they communicate not only with themselves, but the other organisms of the world? You better believe they do. Do they contain the same molecular structure as all of us? Yes. Do you know the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell? Nearly nothing. Imagine the world without plants. Would life exist? It would not. Every single cell of every organism contains a sugar layer called the glycobiome, the glycocalyx. It has been put on his drawing earlier, the little antennas, the telephone poles coming out of the cell wall. He said protein, but they're glycoproteins. And did you know what your blood type is determined by? A protein or a sugar? It's a sugar. All of the proteins of your blood types are the same, but the change is a sugar. There are 9 sugars in the human body, and every organism has different sugars that determine their barcode of who and what they are. Now, do microbes have a glycobiome? Yes, they do. All organisms do. The human leukocyte antigen, you ever heard of the HLA antigen? So if we've got to do an organ transplant, we got to know the HLA antigenic component before we give you that organ transplant, because if it's incorrect, you will reject it. The HLA is determined by sugars. So we all talk about sugar as the energy of your body. It is not. Fat is. Fat, acetyl-CoA, turns out to be the only energy source. Just like you can't breathe water to gain oxygen, you can only breathe air. There is no metabolic flexibility. Again, I'm just giving a very different opinion. But sometimes it takes a long time to figure these things out. But why do we get fat? Is it pathologic or physiologic? Meaning that, is there something wrong with the people who get fat? Or something right? What type of food environment did we live in for the first 3.5 million years? And if you go pre-world wars, or even post the wars, or even in the wars today, is there plenty of access to food? There's not. Do most animals have someone delivering their food 24/7, 365? No. What do they got to do to get it? Hunt and fight and kill. Eat a plant, you're killing a plant, right? And so ultimately, if you're in a stressful environment, the universe knows that if you're skinny, you're fertilizer fast. Obesity is not a pathologic condition. Obesity causes no disease. It's the plants which contain heroin, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine, caffeine, and thousands of other chemicals that I just didn't mention. Plus they contain antigens. Do you guys know what an antigen is? An antigen is a substance in the environment that causes you to have redness, swelling, pain, heat, and dysfunction and damage to the cell, the organ, or the organism. Name a disease that isn't caused by a high plant, low animal fat diet. You can't. Arthritis, psoriasis, kidney stones, migraines, bowel bleeding, cancers, autoimmune diseases, which I will claim there are no such things as autoimmune disease. Autoimmune means your body's attacking itself, right? Your body doesn't do that. Your body's attacking foreign substances that get in your body based on what you breathe, drink, and eat. and put all over your body, right? What other animal other than mud rubs a bunch of products all over their body? Zero. All right? Now, it's kind of a crazy concept, aren't these things? They don't make sense. So, what poisons come in ribeye steak?
None.
Zero. How about kale, asparagus, broccoli? My daughter would die to a banana and an avocado. Why are avocados fat? Or are they fruit? They're fruits. Sorry. Seeds and nuts. How many people are not allergic to seeds and nuts? How do you know for sure? Meaning that, what is an allergic reaction? Could depression be an allergic reaction? Can cancer be an allergic reaction? Can heart disease be an allergic reaction? So essentially, when I use the word allergy, I'm saying an inflammatory reaction: redness, swelling, pain, heat, dysfunction, damage, and death to the cell, the organ, the organism. So, idiopathic, we don't know. Is it because we're waiting for someone else to tell us what it means, and we believe what they say because science is right, opinions are right? Now, again, I'm only telling you my story. I'm not telling you it's true, right, or wrong, because who really is the only one to determine whether or not I'm telling the right story? You. I didn't believe what I'm telling you. Sugar, it's for energy. Well, wait a minute. Sugar has to go through about 10 steps to become fat. But it takes about a millisecond to cut 2 carbon particles from a long-chain fatty acid to make acetyl-CoA. How long does that take? Infinitely fast. The speed of light. Now, you guys know much about neurotransmitters? I'm speaking, I'm moving, I'm listening, I'm watching. How many neurotransmitters right now are doing all that work? And how fast are they going? Speed of light. How am I doing here? Glycation. I got a few more minutes. What's glycation? Sugar damages cells or molecules. Diabetes, type 1 and 2, probably are glycation diseases. And so where does sugar come from? Plants. Are there significant sugars in meat? No, but there are sugars in meat. But there's mostly significant sugars in plants. Are plants ever required in the human diet? Never. The plants ferment in the gut. Fermentation makes what? Alcohol. Our children that are eating 3 to 6 plant low-fat diet are walking around with alcohol in their bodies, and so are most of us. Did you know that? And the microbes, the probiotics they recommend us to take in order to make a lot of money on a dumb science, I'm sorry, the microbes are there because they're everywhere. They're talking to your brain? Like E. coli is saying, Bob, Kiltz, like, do this or that. Makes no sense. But you guys know much about making a compost heap? Did it get hot and smelly? So what's happening in our bodies is the microbes are crawling out the rectum anus and up the esophagus. They cause upper and lower respiratory disease. And in women, they crawl up the vagina, into the bladder, into the cervix, into the uterus, and cause PCOS, cause endometriosis, uterine fibroids, cancers, cervical cancers, and every disease we suffer from. This doesn't make much sense, does it? Does it, Stu? It's hard to believe, isn't it? I didn't believe it. Now, do I ever eat a French fry? I do. Do I ever drink a martini? I do. Do I ever eat some cookie, cake, or ice cream? I do. But I also fly airplanes and jets, and I live with another human being. I walk across the street. I mean, who amongst us is not going to die? And even carnivores. Being a carnivore mean you're never going to die? Does it mean you're not going to get a standard disease? It does not. What's the leading cause of death in the world?
Time.
When we die, it's when we're meant to die and how we die. And I never think about, oh, I want to live this long or do this. I just enjoy life every single day. But I can tell you the secret that Ben talked about is you put that thing up, and I put so many things on that wall, and they've all come true. And it's like, whoa. But that's called faith in God. That's all it is. It was written thousands of years ago. But our ancient ancestors, they knew all of this. God is not out there. God is in there. And in every single one of us. But some of us took a little longer to figure out the secret. And you think God's a lion or a sheep?
Both.
He's everything. But ultimately, the lion leads the sheep, not a sheep leading lions. But you have to question everything we learn in everything. Where did it come from? Why do we think that way? And you always want to question everything, and you question everything that I say. Don't believe a word I'm saying. But I am 70 soon. Like 70, wow. I was 10 yesterday. Ever feel that way? Well, but I kind of act 10 sometimes, right? I'm a little kid, right? I do pottery, painting. Oh, I went to France with my daughter about 20 years ago and went to the Modern Art Museum. What's modern art look like? Like, right? So I said, oh, I could do that. So I came home, I bought a bunch of canvas and paint, and I paint. And I do pottery. And I write poetry. And I occasionally hack the guitar. I learned the piano and the guitar a while back, and Bruce Springsteen's my second cousin. So, but we're all related. All related. Every bit of everyone's genetics and potential is like amazingly the same, and we can do everything and anything. But who's afraid to do something? We all are, right? But I used to blog about 20 years ago, but I think my mother was the only one that ever watched it. Fear. Who's afraid? Do it anyway, as they say. Faith evolves and restores. And faith is the belief in the thing you cannot see, but you know it's there. And I think this guy, Jesus Christ, is like the master. Amen. And you know who's more powerful than Jesus Christ? God. Mother Mary. No other woman has done anything like that before. And no man, certainly. But you know, men, we're dumb. Really dumb. We do a lot of dumb things. And simply, ladies, you want to make a man happy? You tell them they're the most amazing husbands, partners ever created in the universe. You flatter them. And what's the best way to a man's heart? Stomach. You feed them steak and eggs every day. And you make love to them every single day. Men, shut the F up. Women, go shopping on the man. We are here to do something every single day. And whatever it is, do it with passion, compassion, love. And every morning, I usually get up about 3 or 4 o'clock. I read some biblical texts. The Christ-Based Teachings is one of my favorite books, and I am listening to others and reading other people's works. I've read Metabolic Freedom, and I've got other books that I've learned from other people today that I'm going to continue to read or pick up. I listen to audiobooks all day long. I don't listen to music. I make music. And that's the part that we're all capable of doing until the day he says, I need you for another journey. Because ultimately, we're all fertilizer. We're all fertilizer. And your job is to make yourself the damn best fertilizer ever in the universe. Right? But you know what's kind of hard is to get rid of the little negative things, isn't it? But the best way to get rid of that shit is add new positive shit all the time. And listening and learning and coming to these keto carnivore events and going and meeting other people, and looking at each and every person in the eyes and think, wow, I love this person. But the first thing you do every single morning, every single day, was it 3 times a day? The vitamin G? Yeah. Right. But I was thinking, as Ben was saying, 3 times a day, infinite times a day, you look in that mirror. But remember, the mirror, do you guys know that this is a mirror? We are living in a mirror world because my thoughts create what's in the mirror. And if I think the beauty and love and kindness and generosity of each and every one of us, wow. It's not always easy to do, is it? But it takes practice and listening and learning from each brother and sister together, and hardship. Because what great things come out of sitting on the couch watching TV and never getting up? Nothing. Hard. If someone says it's hard, I'm saying, oh, that one's for me. I just went to jet training. 4 days in a simulator, they try to kill you. Right? I almost died 4 times, but I pulled up every time, and I came around and finally put it on the ground to get back up again. Good. But I want to thank everyone for allowing me to share my craziness. And you can find me on drkiltz.com. And my cell phone number is 315-416-9872. And people Google my number and I give it out to everyone. My patients or people I don't even know. Dr. Kiltz, a friend of mine gave me your number. Can you help me get pregnant, have a baby? And the first thing I teach them is what I teach you today. Because if I can help you heal and it happened the way God intended, I've been successful. So I'm going to hang around a few minutes, a little bit. If you guys have any questions or comments, I'm here to answer. But thank you very much for being here today. I appreciate it.
You mention the Bible often, and I hear people talk a lot about eating in the Bible. You know, like there's a lot of stories about food and how food got people in trouble in the Bible. Do you have an opinion on some of the recommendations that the Bible talks about when it comes to the types of things we should and shouldn't eat?
Well, the Bible is a story of our evolution within our civilizations evolving. I'm giving you my story. You asked my story, correct? I'm giving you my story. Okay? So we have documented our human evolution. I mean, look if you can't find food, we're smart as heck. We figured out how to take poisonous things and make them edible. Plants are mostly poisonous, but we ferment them, we grind them, we do all sorts of things. But ultimately, meat is one of the master meals in the Bible, not plants. And so you ate the fattiest meat, and you ate the whole thing, but you praised God for the gift of that animal. They're stories. But there are no civilizations that are only plant eaters. And I don't like to use the word keto very much personally because it's a scientific term. Ketones are the only fuel. Acetyl-CoA is a ketone. They're always in your body and they're always the fuel of your body. It's never glucose. Glucose must be converted. Oh, by the way, the liver is where fat is made. The liver converts all amino acids, as all sugars, via insulin in the liver to fat. Now, when you use the word fat, it also makes very low density lipoproteins, which are carriers of fat, proteins, sugars, minerals, and vitamins, which must be delivered to every cell of your body. And remember, the most important tissue of your body is adipose tissue. Always. And when you eat fat, it suppresses the microbes in the gut to keep them low at bay. But nobody's eating fat. Most carnivores and keto people do not eat fat. Avocado, that's not fat. But fat comes from an animal and oils come from plants. And rendered fat is not the same as eating raw animal fat. If you look at Pottinger's cats, you'll realize that it was the raw animal fat and the unpasteurized milk that the cats were healthy with. But when they cooked the meat, the animals were unhealthy. I ate, personally, fatty ribeye every day, rare to raw, with salt and butter.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yes.
First observation, you said liver, right? And it's the fat part. It just made me think, because I'm a word person. If you drop the R off the liver, it spells.
Well, the liver, the liver, so you've never heard of hepatologous diabetes. Most people with cirrhosis become type 2 diabetics. They have a fatty liver, but they become cirrhotic and they become emaciated and skinny and have no fat, like a type 1 diabetic, because the liver is the only place that you can make fat. You do not make fat in your fat cells. You store fat there, but most people don't eat fat. The fat you eat goes to the lymphatics because it does not require insulin or the liver. That's why diabetes, especially type 1, is deadliest of all, but type 2, nobody eats fat. And the lion that goes for the beast eats the fattiest meat. The vultures get the lean shit left over. And if you know anything about protein poisoning, a protein-centric diet is a deadly diet. That's why most of our keto people and carnivores, I think, are still unhealthy, because it's fat your body wants. Why do you think we get fat? Because your body is smart as shit. It says, wait a minute, there's a famine coming, you better be fat or you're dead. But most people are eating 3 to 6 meals a day. I do 1 meal a day. I just did a 15-day fast. I typically do only 1 meal at night. It's fatty meat. We eat too much. And then they tell us to exercise to lose weight. It's dumb. Why we're focusing on losing weight and we're all getting fatter? Because no animal focuses on being skinny. Remember, I want to be skinny. Well, that's the law of attraction. You will remain fat or get fatter because your brain is already doing the wrong thing. Plus, we're teaching everyone the wrong science. Your body does not burn sugar. It only burns fat. Even when you think, I'm not losing fat, but when you have 3 meals a day in your belly, is your stomach ever empty of food? No. So 24/7 your liver is working to make fat. Well, wait a minute, I'm not burning fat. Well, yes, you are, but you're making more fat and storing more fat because you're eating a plant-based diet, and which turns out to be the deadliest diet you can eat. And remember, protein all is converted to fat. You think you eat protein, you're going to build a muscle? It doesn't happen. That's incorrect science. You want to build muscle? You must do resistance work. And remember, most people that are built are also taking steroids. You know, and how many people are doing all this fake stuff to their body, and you think they're not doing it nutritionally? Only supplement I take is vitamin what, Ben? G. Right? And again, now I sell liver and organ meat supplements because I think we should be eating the organs of the liver. I don't love to eat it very much. I love foie gras, but I don't think we eat enough of the organ meats, but we don't eat enough fat. Chicken, fish, turkey, and tenderloin has no what? Fat. Deadly diet. Deadly diet. And if you look at Pottinger's cats, you'll learn more about it. But it's like, this stuff sounds radical, doesn't it? But name a radical guy in the universe over the last 2,000 years that has changed the world. They put him on a cross, right? Now again, we all contain the power of God within us. That means we could do everything and anything because God is us. And ultimately, hard things are what you're born for, not easy things. And suffering and everything we've ever... I don't believe... everything yesterday is built for our beauty of for tomorrow, right? And you're right, though, that our genes, the glycocalyx is changing, the sugars. The sugar layer in our body has billions of infinite possibilities. The DNA, proteins, only a few thousand. It's the glycobiome, and I've got a few stuff out there about glycobiome, but the glycocalyx is the game changer. And meat is the master meal.
So my fiance and I are planning on having another child. How important is it to work on getting healthier before?
Well, the universe is pretty amazing. Fertility is the most important thing, and it will have babies in the most harsh of environments. Okay, we do know that. And why one person's infertile and another person is not, I don't know that answer. Just like I don't know why one person gets cancer and another person doesn't. But I think it's ultimately the most important thing. The temple, part of my talk is, basically the human Ferrari temple or amusement park. And we are a temple. Why wouldn't you take care of yourself the very best way we should be, which to me is like a lion, not a sheep. This is important. I think you're the temple. How important is this temple to understanding these ideas? They're very radical, aren't they? They're not standard. I've already been reported to my licensing board in New York, and I've already been reported at the hospital, and they said, you can't talk about this. So what did I do? Talked about it even more. Gratitude and blessings to everyone. Thank you.